Very interesting. And, you know, so as I said, this is something they speak about in psychology all the time, but of course they wouldn't dare use the word psychic. It took so much for me to come out of the closet. Can you share a little bit about how you went from probably a classical Harvard MBA student, a business owner, an engineering student, to being a person who is so in touch with and open to the concept of psychic abilities?
Okay, so the first thing to say is this was a pretty long transition, and yes, I started out being your normal sort of left brain, you know, engineering MBA person, and boy, this was more than 25 years ago. I had some friends, we had a book club, and I should say that all of my friends, either I knew them from Princeton or these were their friends from Cal Berkeley. All of them had master's degrees, PhDs, law degrees, you know, so this was a pretty sharp, with it, left brain crowd. And we had a book club. And one day after the book club, somebody said, and I think maybe one or two of the people had learned TM, and they said, you know, let's do a meditation. Well, how do you do that? We just sit quietly and breathe and, you know, let whatever happens happen. Okay. So we're sitting in this circle, 6 or 7 of us, and I began to have this image of a woman on a bicycle riding down a dirt road, the green hills kind of all around. And as I saw that, somebody across the circle described what I was seeing exactly. And as this woman turned off the road on her bicycle onto a dirt driveway, she said that. Like, as I was seeing it, she said that. And she did a little more. And then I began to take up the story. And as I took up the story, I heard a gasp from somebody different around the circle. And I knew that that person was seeing exactly what I was seeing. And the story went on for probably at least 20 minutes. And it was a kind of family saga that we figure probably happened in New Zealand or Australia. And, you know, like I said, it went on for a while. And it ended with a particular character's death, which we kind of thought was my death, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. And, okay, so that blew my mind entirely because there were only 2 explanations for this. One was we were all connected mentally, or, you know, there was either like group telepathy going on, or there was some past life that we had somehow all tuned into. And neither one of those fit my model at the time.
Sure.
Yeah. So, of course, I got fascinated by it and eventually took classes for several years and began to do readings. And I need to kind of back up and say something else that happened kind of, you know, after the blew my mind, but before I took classes, I came down with what is today called chronic fatigue immune dysfunction syndrome, but back then didn't have a name. I was actually one of the earliest cases. And I was very lucky. I got sent to a doctor at UC San Francisco, professor, you know, who said, well, you know, we got good news, we got bad news, we got news. The news is, yeah, you're really sick, which was a good thing for him to say, that, you know, it's not all in your head. The good news is it's not going to kill you because I've had patients, you know, I've had some other patients, I've seen people, you're not going to die. The bad news is medical science can't help you. It's probably going to turn out to be a virus. We can't do anything about viruses. So, you know, go home, good luck, do the best you can. Now, anybody who's had this knows that it's like having mono, like forever, right? You're exhausted all the time, swollen glands, low-grade fevers, like all this stuff. Okay. So as I began to take classes and do readings, I had to get into a meditative state to do the readings because that's getting more of your brain into alpha. Well, today we know from, I think at this point, over 3,300 studies that meditation improves your health in more ways than we can practically count, right? Lowers blood pressure, lowers heart disease, decreases dental caries, right, cavities, you know, and on and on and on. But at the time, all I knew was doing readings makes me feel better, right? So if you're going to feel better, then you're going to do more. So I began to do more readings. And that was kind of the start. I'm sorry?
I said that's amazing. It's really such a blessing that there was this convergence of this unexpected vision and belief combined with this illness, and it's almost like the medicine came up at just the right time for you.
There are no accidents.
Wonderful. Yeah. There
are only synchronicities, you know?
Yeah, synchronicity, exactly.
So I was really blessed and by the ability to do this, and kept finding people to read and more teachers, and a friend who eventually became my best friend who was doing kind of on the same path, and eventually we were doing readings kind of just because we like to do them, and people don't value what's given for free, so we eventually made a pact with each other, like we have to charge. And eventually that's how it grew into a business and what I do for a living, and but it's been 25 years, and I stopped counting readings at 5,000.
And